As we watch with horrified fascination with what is going on in Afghanistan, let us not ignore what could be festering in our own backyard. I have argued earlier that it does not matter strategically to us or should not matter to us, whichever way the dice rolls in Afghanistan. At the end of the day, it is their business, their life, their social order. But we should certainly be concerned how forces inimical to our country have already started chattering, drawing up plans to create the mother of all insurgencies in India inspired by the Taliban takeover. And unlike what strategists believe that Kashmir could be the next battlefield for the Taliban, I argue that these forces will try and radicalize our Muslim brothers in the country with a re-emergence of CAA agitation 2.0. Hi and welcome all to the CAA show. My name is Juggi Bhasin. CAA is of course conversations and analysis. Okay, let me first dispense with this Kashmir bogie argument. Now, even if the Taliban on the beck and call of the ISI were to create problems for us in Kashmir, they would not find easy passage for that. It is now certain that after the repeal of Article 370, the government clamped down ruthlessly on insurgents and anti-national forces, weeded out troublemaking elements, and strictly enforced the security perimeter. They stepped up both surveillance and counterintelligence activities. All the gaps in the security capacity building grid were filled up. Now, 2 years after 370 was removed, Kashmir, by and large, is as tight as a drum and quite secure. Yes, the odd terrorist attack will continue and it will be no different even if the Taliban turn up the heat on Kashmir. But the free flow of insurgents and ammunition in that sector has dried up. We need to understand another reality. If the Taliban are capable of great cruelty, then the Indian armed forces are also capable of great ruthlessness. I have, during my time as a television journalist, seen how our armed forces deal with insurgents. If, for instance, they are holed up in a safe house, then after an encounter with the security team, all traces of the insurgents and their safe house cease to exist. We know how to fight fire with fire. Kashmir can be handled, and I have my doubts it will ever get back to the situation in the 90s when our security grid was not so strong and the entire sector was on fire due to repeated attacks by foreign mercenaries, including the Taliban. That was then. This is now. The Taliban are not a monolithic organization, and it is a bit of a stretch to think that they take all the cues from Pakistan's ISI. I doubt Kashmir will be their priority. According to me, the real danger for India is from the enemy within. Let me expand on my hypothesis. The Taliban was founded by Muhammad Umar and Abdul Ghani Baradar. It is not merely a militarist organization. It is also a political, religious, Deobandi Islamist outfit believing in medieval practices and customs, advocating an extreme interpretation of Sharia law. Now, does the word Deobandi ring any bells? We have in India a significant portion of Muslims that identify with the Deobandi school of thought. The Deobandi order of things are managed by the Darul Uloom Deoband and the Jamaat Ulema-e-Hind. In simple terms, these are religious preachers who retain their influence over the vast Muslim community. I am not saying for a moment that the Deobandis in India are going to follow the Taliban diktat. Not at all. But they are extremely vulnerable to coming under influence of inimical elements. Let me explain that in more detail. Whichever way we look at it, the Taliban victory in Afghanistan has fired the imagination of a significant portion of the Muslim Ummah worldwide. The sight of a superpower being humbled in Afghanistan at the hands of a ragtag army of insurgents has made many believe that anything is possible in the future. The dreams of a caliphate or a hardcore Islamist state established by ISIS in Syria had been destroyed, but that dream has been revived once again. If the Taliban could do it in Afghanistan, then why could it not happen in other countries? Now, coming to India, we have two problems here. First, there does exist a catchment of vulnerable young Muslims who have been disenchanted with this constant propaganda that they have no future under the Modi government. Secondly, there is a rainbow collection of entities including radicals, homegrown terrorists and insurgents, extreme religious nuts, political entities deprived of power, free left radical thinkers, intellectuals and academics, and even the so-called chattering and harmless liberals who are all united in their visceral hatred of Modi and his government. Some of them, if not many of them, can go to any extent to see the downfall of the Modi government, encourage a state of unrest in the country, almost like a civil war kind of situation where the two major communities are pitted against each other. This nightmare scenario is not a conspiracy theory but a real possibility after the Taliban victory, which has given hope to many that now anything is possible. This anything, as I have argued earlier, will not happen in Kashmir because of the 7 lakhs troops we have there which are stationed there. It will happen in our backyard where we are most vulnerable. And the way to do that would be to kickstart CAA agitation 2.0, which will sweep the country. Deprivation of so-called minority rights, a narrative of victimhood will be the guiding spirit of this new agitation. Please remember that it took the Taliban 20 years to regain power. CAA agitation 2.0 will be only the start of a long battle of attrition where endemic protests will continue in the country till the very character and the DNA of the country changes. These elements have already tasted a fair degree of success by the Kisan agitation, which drags on and on. A prolonged polarizing agitation will be far more lethal and dangerous, in my opinion, than an occasional Taliban-inspired bomb blast or a suicide bombing. The future of a vulnerable Muslim youth could be at stake. On its part, the government needs to wake up to this threat. It needs to open a dialogue with sober sections of leadership in the Muslim community and apprise them of the threat. If necessary, it should take proactive steps to assuage insecurity and confusion in the Muslim youth and incorporate them more in the mainstream. This is not appeasement, but a common sense approach to maintaining communal harmony in the country. And of course, all the illogical and motor mouths on the BJP side, they should also be kept at bay. The government needs to be watchful, alert, and yet sensitive to this very perilous time. If we slip up, then not only we, but future generations will pay a very heavy price. So it's goodbye on this note. If you want to read the full text of this episode, do read it on WordPress. I have given the link of this episode in the description below. And do subscribe to us. And well, it's goodbye till next time.